Welcome to Intimate Conversations, where we support you healing heartbreak so that you can live fully embodied, unapologetically, and deliciously free, being exactly who you are. I'd be honored if you'd please subscribe if you haven't yet already, and definitely share us with a dear friend. Okay, you luscious creature, it is time to get intimate. Hello, you delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations with a Irishman with a business in San Francisco who lives in Oahu, the amazing Figs O'Sullivan. You can find out more about Figs at empathi.com. That'll be in the show notes, empathi with an I.com. And he is a licensed marriage and family therapist and is certified in emotionally focused therapy for couples. And he's the creator of that site I just mentioned, Empathi Method, and the certification process for the empathy coaches. And his life mission is to help couples feel more connected. So welcome. It's such a wonderful blessing to meet you. I love your accent already.
Thank you, Alana. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, thank you. I've been going through your site. It's quite fascinating, your journey. For those of the viewers that don't know you yet, how did you decide Ireland, San Francisco, Oahu? And if we could frame it in, to me, the inside creates the outside.
Right.
So if couples is where you are giving your genius to the world, how was your own couples relationship with yourself as this journey happened? And then, take us on a journey.
Yeah, well, I was, born in Ireland, grew up in Ireland, and I'm the son of, alcoholic father and heartbroken mother. And obviously that's the betrayal, the big life betrayal that happens, right, to all of us one way or the other. And then luckily myself, my dad, my mom, my sister, we all transformed that betrayal into a superpower.
Nice.
That we all became therapists, basically.
Yes.
Right? So, and then, in Ireland, when I left Ireland in 1993 when I graduated from undergraduate on the 7th of July, 1993. And then I literally got on the airplane on the 8th of July to move to San Francisco.
Wow.
So I was just off. And at the time, Ireland had 20% unemployment, right? So it was like, it would have been weirder if I stayed. Most people left. And so, and then I tried to ignore the family vocation. I was a stockbroker for a while. I was the head of business development for, a startup for a while, but then eventually I gave in, and I surrendered and accepted the family vocation.
Nice. Wow. I love, we use similar words. It's kind of cool. A betrayal into a superpower. I love that. Right. My dad was an alcoholic too. So that's very interesting as well. What is it like so for me, I was always looking for daddy's love, his presence, safety, right? That was the beginning of my journey. How did it affect you, and where did you?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, the wound with my mom and my dad, so look, my mom was literally like a superhero for me, right? She raised 2 kids. The image I always have of her is, walking along the side of the freeway with 2 little kids and 4 or 5 bags of groceries, on a Saturday morning after having to work all week. So she was just like unbelievable, right? Wow. Just strong, single mother. And so yeah, I feel I owe her so much, right? But what comes with that, so that's good. And it's good to have access to that part of my heart. But what comes with that, if I really deep down emotionally, is as a little boy, it was very hard to see my mom so sad and heartbroken.
Sure.
Right. So what I did for many years of my life is I tried to rescue partners.
Yeah.
And of course, it took a while to see, right, that it's not trying to rescue other people it's you don't not doing anybody a service, right? Because you're taking their power away, you're stealing their relationship with reality.
Yeah.
And of course they're not really being loved. You know, and of course it served me because I could avoid my own stuff as long as I was focused on fixing someone else, right? So that's on the mom. So, and of course, obviously I transformed that, like, you know, being a therapist in some ways, I found a very healthy way to utilize that same heart-centered drive, you know, to actually help people in a very boundary clear, healthy way, right? That's what I do now. And then the wound on the dad side, you know, for me, when I, like, again, just off the top of my head, look, not having someone that really saw me and like, good job, well done, I see you, look at you running, look at you using your legs. Like, this is this weird thing. I feel like I grew up not knowing how to do things. Like I never, like not having a dad around or something. You know, my mom was obviously so busy, even if she loved the hell out of us, right? And would do anything for us. Like this, there's this one story that always captures this for me is that, like, I played rugby growing up.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to a school where it's compulsory. I didn't want to play, but when I realized if I got on that team, I'd get to talk to those girls.
You're like, okay.
I suddenly got interested in rugby, but I used to kick the equivalent of field goals, right? Like, you know, like anyway. But there's this very simple thing you have to do in order to kick the ball. You have to make like at the post, you have to make a little mound of the ground.
Yes.
I didn't believe I could make the mound. So I used it as kind of this comical thing. We'd be in the middle of the game and my best friend would have to come over and make the mound and put the ball in the mound for me. And then I'd kick the ball.
Yeah.
So there was just some, like, you know, I would never try and paint. I would never draw. I didn't know the alphabet until I was 17. Like in the middle of the alphabet, there was this sound elemento. Like I didn't know what that was, right? Like I used to be.
Oh my God.
So look, I put that down to there's some base level of being seen, and you're seen being seen. You see the person seeing you, and you actually get some core belief that you can do things.
Yeah.
That I didn't get, right? And so, like, you know, in some ways, actually, for me, running a business is the reparenting myself as a father, like learning how to do things and doing things. Because obviously, how I compensated is I'm really good at getting other people to do things, right? I'm not saying that with pride. Like, you know, I'm that kid, like growing up, my friends would come over to the house before we go out and one would be ironing my pants. Someone else would be making the dinner.
Look at you.
I don't say, I say it with a modicum of pride, but yeah. So now, like, I really love like building things just because, again, it's actually primarily I'm reparenting myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's off
the
top of my head.
No, it's really, really beautiful. So we'll start with where you are and then go back to mom for a second. So in terms of reparenting yourself, how did you let go of, you know, the victim? How could you, dad? Probably failing and falling down a lot and getting back up again. What was that process like for you to say, okay, enough. I'm not going to be a victim of this anymore. I'm going to reparent myself.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, out of pain, right, and desperation. So, you know, I was a stockbroker in San Francisco through the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, really, like gambling, drinking, crazy relationships, and it was too much. Like I was having panic attacks and losing people's money. I'm walking around the streets of San Francisco scared to go to work, is like, oh my God, like it was like you know, freaking trying to stop girlfriend committing suicide, and it was just like life was fucking crazy. It was insane. Like I really felt like I was going crazy. And so I literally left San Francisco and moved to Esalen in Big Sur. And I don't know if anybody, your audience are familiar with Esalen, but it's like, being referred to as the Harvard of personal development movement. And I went there for a month. And then again, luckily, was invited to live there, right? Longer term.
Yeah.
And so I think of Esalen as my third parent in a way. Right. Cool. So I really got to realize the difference between the thoughts I'm having and the story of my life is not actually who I am. What's the felt sense in a moment? So I got to I was invited to notice my internal experience and be with it and study it and let myself feel it and literally move it. Yeah. I became a avid improvisational dancer for 15 years. That's probably my main personal development vehicle. Wow. So I feel my feelings, move them, express them. And and I did lots of, what do you call it, Gestalt therapy, where you let yourself feel your feelings and you be all the parts, the vulnerable part, quote, what you call the victim part, the hurt part, grieve for yourself, also be the one that's angry. And then create the missing experience, right? Through being all the different parts of myself, then knowing what it is that's really longed for and literally creating that missing experience, either in a group therapy session, individual therapy session, or, finding a way to give it to myself and just becoming a bigger, more integrated version of myself.
I love it. I so love it. I was a dancer since I was 5.
Oh, nice.
And I danced in Tokyo professionally for 4 years. And then I danced at Barnard when I went to Columbia in New York. And then I danced S Factor pole dancing when I lived in LA. Yeah. And I still dance on Zoom with my teacher every Friday, all this dance movement. I was trained, do it right. Look this way, right? Which messed up all the good things that could mess up. But then now to literally surrender 100% over to the energy that my body knows and just let my body do what it needs to do, whether it looks really disgusting, gross, or it's gorgeous, sexy, or it's dorky, or it's furious. And oh my God, that is so amazing that you get that.
Oh, that's great. I love it. I've gotten so much from dance. And I often tell couples that I've learned more about how to be a good couples therapist through improvisational dance than I have through couples therapy training. How to listen deeply, notice what's happening inside you, be able to really see what's happening in another, and then track what are we co-creating with each other, following what's organically here, and letting it unfold.
Amazing. So I want to ask in a minute about what that actually looks like with dance in your couples therapy and more about your couples therapy. But let's go back to mom for a second and then your relationship journey. So you recognized you were doing the rescuer and then you had the San Francisco full-on rescuer experience. And then there was Esalen. So how has your personal relationship journey gone with a beloved?
So I want to make sure I understand, help me understand when you say the beloved, is that a capital B? Do you mean what do you mean when you say the beloved? Just to make sure I understand.
All levels. I love that you even notice that there's levels to do it with.
Right.
So I believe there's a masculine and feminine within ourselves.
Right.
So it would be with the internal beloved. It would be with romantic relationships, externally, based on that holographic projection of what you've come home to within yourself. And then of course, the beloved, the divine, making love with life.
Right. No, it's good. Thank you. No, that's great. I just wasn't 100% sure. So look, I really struggled with relationships, right? And when I say I struggled with them, I was doing the whole rescuing thing. And then because I was brought up with single mom and my sister, I treated women up until my late 20s as they were very sacred, the Madonna, my mother, and so I was really, I think I kind of suppressed my sexuality a little bit because I had to be good, very loving and kind. And then I became a bartender. So I was a stockbroker by day, bartender at night.
Oh my God.
And I kind of went wild.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you had to swing the polarity over. Yeah.
Exactly. So I swang, and then I had my seductive persona,
Uh, yeah.
and gotten validation by being wanted by the opposite sex for me. And so like, really realistically, I feel like, I had some love and intimacy stuff, and then I go to Esalen, and there's like naked hot
Naked in the hot
tubs.
tub. I know.
People are coming from all over the world, and so we're in hot tubs, we're massaging, we're dancing, and so it was like I feel fortunate that I got to really explore that and realize that, oh my God, the whole seeking validation and like having these experiences, under a particular persona being, seductive, it wasn't very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right. Like it wasn't nourishing. Like if really like as a relationship with the beloved and feeling like at ease inside myself, it didn't really work. And so and then of course I went back into a couple of long-term relationships. And then of course within long-term relationship, I end up like feeling, my aliveness got smaller. And then, because again, it's the polarity, right? And so I eventually learned how this emotionally focused couples therapy stuff, right? And about attachment theory, right? There's this basic, we all have this need to be emotionally bonded. And because of that need to be emotionally bonded, pretty much all of our behaviors actually make sense. They're just ways in which we try desperately to move away from the way we feel abandoned, rejected, we're too much, we're not enough in matters of love. And then emotionally focused therapy gives individuals and couples a way to navigate those feelings and see the behaviors from a systemic perspective. That it was the first time I kind of had a roadmap, not to help other people, but how I myself could make love and relationship work in a very fulfilling way. So that was a total game changer once I started, studying, because I had done all the individual work, like I'm able to feel my feelings, express my feelings and all that stuff, have self-responsibility. But then it was like learning how to be an interdependent person, then putting that on top of it. Learning emotionally focused couples therapy changed my life. And, I was able to meet my now wife at Esalen, of course. And yeah, like it's just unbelievable. I feel like I literally must have died and I'm living in a parallel positive universe where like, oh my God, I get to be a husband and I love my life and I'm a dad. And like, as you know, I live in paradise, literally. It's literally, my life is so good. Like it's kind of weird and crazy.
It's a great, crazy story. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
So for me and others, to be clear that we know what you're talking about with emotionally focused therapy, and maybe tying it into one of the things I learned that we want to talk about today, there's really only one relationship problem, or we all have the need to be emotionally bonded. Tell us a little more about this game changer point of view.
Well, so here's what attachment theory is all about. And attachment theory is the area of psychology that has the biggest body of research, evidence. Like it's as solid a footing you could ever find in the field of psychology, right? And here's the basics of it, is that, so the most famous quote is, we all need to be attached. Substitute the word attached with emotionally bonded from the cradle to the grave. The cradle part is relatively easy for people to understand, right? Because you think about when a baby is born, their first needs aren't food and shelter. Right? You give them all the food in the world, all the shelter in the world, and they'll die, right? The baby's first need is there's a good enough other on the other side of the birth that that good enough other is there for them emotionally and physically. And that they're enough for the baby is enough for their good enough other, or birth mom for most of us, primary caregiver, whoever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, look, if that good enough other isn't there, a dingo will come and eat the baby, right? Some of us are old enough, I hope, to get that reference, right? Now, so basically, that means your organism, over millions of years, right, has developed to detect at the most fundamental level of your physiology, is my primary other, when you're in the cradle, your mother, are they there? And if they're not there, you're facing an existential threat and you're going to freak out.
Yeah.
Rightly so. The baby is really smart to cry when mom's not there, because they could die. That's how serious it is. Right? So they're really smart to cry, right? And also, when a baby looks like mom or my primary caregiver is really disappointed in me, that baby is facing an existential threat. Oh shit, am I going to be rejected from the person I need the most to not be disappointed in me? So that's like two sides of wounding and love. For simplicity, like, I'm going to be abandoned or I'm going to be rejected. Yeah. So look, let's go then for your entire lifespan. Remember, it's from the cradle to the grave, right? Now you've grown up and you're an amazing dancer and you can pick beautiful earrings and you can have a really well put together background, like your house looks spotless and clean, right? Very good, right? But so you're really competent grown up, but when it comes to love, all of us, right, we're still babies. Because the actual physiology, the attachment mechanism hasn't changed. But hopefully what has changed is your primary attachment figure is no longer your mom. Now it's that person you met at Esalen on a dance floor and you're like, hello. And they were like, hello. And you did your thing. And then you became, look, you're the one that I want to be enough for. And they're like, you're the one I need to know you're here. They're now your primary emotional bonding partner. And when it looks like they're not here, your body is going to have all the same freak out. Yep. Or feel like, oh, I'm in trouble. It looks like they're disappointed in me. And you're going to do your protest thing, right? So when it comes to love, we're all still babies, right? And then, of course, then with that simple idea, now everybody's behaviors in love make sense. When someone feels abandoned, it makes sense they might blame or criticize, hey, why aren't you here for me? But of course, their partner then is going to feel rejected and they're not enough, and it makes sense they pull away or they defend themselves or explain themselves. But of course, the more they pull away, defend themselves, explain themselves, minimize their partner's feelings, the more abandoned they feel, the more scared they are that you're not really with me. So the more evidence they give their partner, you really are a disappointment. Cosmopolitan told me, my granny told me, everyone agrees with me. So the worse they feel, the more rejected they feel, even if they don't realize it. So now they're definitely going to go play golf for the whole day, right? And that cycle is the most natural, normal cycle in the world. But most people don't understand, of course, that's what's happening. It's not evidence there's something wrong with you. It's evidence that you guys love the shit out of each other. And that's the first big reframe. Your fights, you should be going down to 7-Eleven and buying their most expensive bottle of champagne. I know your listeners are really sophisticated. They love 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven all the way, yes.
But like, and celebrating, would you look at this fight we get in because we mean so much to each other?
Well, that's a beautiful reframe. Yeah.
Anyway, so there's it wasn't a very short answer, but hopefully that explains the underlying philosophy of attachment theory and emotionally focused couples therapy.
I'll say a little thing that it just sparked, and then let's keep going. I remember when my mom died, and there was the moment where they said she's dead. And I remember choosing one. I'm gonna have my heart open. This is only going to happen once. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to keep my heart open. 1 potato, 2 potato. Oh, this is torture. 3 potato, 4, 5. And then all of a sudden, because I could see she was not there. She was not asleep. She was dead. She wasn't there. 5 potato, 6. And all of a sudden she was everywhere. And I just got blasted with love that I only felt that amount of pain because I loved her that much.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the celebration of this fight. It's because we love each other so much.
Exactly. Yeah. And it seems so simple, but that's it. Everything in the world changes. And you notice yourself, that's a beautiful, experience that you're sharing, that it changes everything in the world once we realize that's what's fundamentally happening. Even though the world itself hasn't changed on the outside.
Correct.
But like, you know, everything changes because once you realize, oh my God, the only reason I'm in this pain is because I love them so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And 9 months later, the next weekend after she died was my sister's wedding. And we just pretended she was on vacation, and I got really drunk and I got pregnant. And 9 months later, there I was giving birth. And the first time to look in his eyes, like, oh my God, I love him so much. And it was like, this is only going to happen once. Same thing as death is birth. So I'm like, keep my heart open. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden, panic. How the fuck do I keep this kid alive? Oh shit. Like, right. So like, oh, and then I saw in that moment, Figs, a heart. And I'm like, oh, pain or pleasure, bliss. It comes back to the same place.
Right.
You know, if I just keep my heart open and bravery.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Absolutely. And that's like one of the things that, you know, it's the way to a better relationship is paradoxical. It's counterintuitive. The most important place to help people connect with each other is in the scary place.
Oh,
right? So in the hard place.
Yeah. Thank you.
So most of the time people are trying to connect with each other in happy places, right? They want to connect with each other over dinner, candlelit, Barry White's playing in the background, right? Like, but actually that's not the important place to connect with each other, right? The most important place to connect with each other is in that place where you're not here, it's scary for me, oh my God, you're never going to be happy with me. That place right there where we're both hurting and it's actually scary for both of us.
Yeah.
That's where the deepest love, bonding, and connection is possible. Right? The way we're always trying to get out of it, we're trying to get out of that place, get to the Barry White soundtrack dinner, right? That's what makes sure that we can't ever really find each other. So in that place where I love you so much, but it's also really scary, like, you know, where the love and the pain meet as one. We have to tolerate going there, feeling it, and staying there with each other. And then we do that well. Now we can go together to our romantic dinner.
So on Intimate Conversations, I am totally myself. So right now I'm about to cry. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
This scary place that I'm so committed to being in. When my mom died, or when my son was having a bad moment, the last relationship, that moment turned into physical violence from him. So court's coming up in a couple more months. My commitment to sit in any shadow I'm like unstoppable, but that was a little too
well,
much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not talking about that. Well, yeah, I mean, and thank you for sharing. And I really appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing with me. And let me just say, like, there's a couple of contra indicators for couples counseling, and the main one that we shouldn't even start at all if there's any ongoing domestic violence or risk of domestic violence. If there's domestic violence, we should not begin to explore these things because it's not safe to. And then, of course, if there's any chance that the exploring one's vulnerability would put someone in a place that they can't control their reactivity to the point that they would hit another human being, that you really have to do individual work. So yeah, the work that I'm describing right now, there are prerequisites, you know, to ensure safety to be able to do this work. Right. And I obviously my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry to hear, you know, what you've gone through, and it sounds like it's still a living process, you know.
Thank you, Figs. I appreciate your compassion, and I'm giving myself a lot of compassion, and I'm learning a lot about level 4 trauma versus level 3, 2, 1. And that when you're in the 4, you just master surviving the abuser. So your alcoholic father, my alcoholic father, like I'm learning and I'm helping my body to get back there of why I stayed as long as I did, and forgiving myself and being willing to be a voice of a pretty together woman with my together background and my pretty earrings, who's also human. And this is what's happened. And so I can help others who might be hiding in shame to get help and change the trajectory of their relationship.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I see what you mean, but you're like, or you resonated with turning the betrayal into a superpower, right? Because that's what you're doing.
Totally. Yeah,
Great.
totally. And so when the prerequisites are there and there's that moment of terror,
Yeah.
or the trigger comes up in a healthy dynamic of vulnerability and maybe even some dance movements, what does it look like to help someone in that shadow moment come back to the light?
Yeah. Well, so the first thing is like, so here's the hard part is it's always temporarily impossible. So this is really tough, is you have to accept on some level, because connection is so important, and it's so threatening when it's gone, and means you and your partner are going to go into their amygdala, hypothalamus. They're going to feel threatened, and they're not going to have the part of their brain available that knows how to communicate vulnerably,
Yeah.
can see, hey, we're in a system with each other, we're both threatened, and we both look threatening for each other, everything's okay. You're not going to have access to that. So all relationships are going to have impossible moments, and we have to come to accept and surrender to, look, because our connection is so important, we're going to scare the living daylights out of each other when it looks like we're not there for each other. So there's some period of time where we're just going to be stuck in that, and hopefully our job, so what I do is I'm on the outside of the system. So like, I don't know, this is a way I've been explaining it lately, I don't know if it's a good one, right? But we have well, let me do an old one that's works better, right? So we got, let's say, like a couple, there are two actors in a play on the stage, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the audience, I'm in the director's chair, right? I can see how both of them, I can see the way you're hurting inside, and it makes sense the way you're reacting, the way you do actor, character number one. Character number two, oh, the way they're reacting, I get that would really hurt you, and I make sense why you just retorted the way you did. But then I also see, oh my God, look at these two poor devils. They're both hurting and they're both scaring each other. I see the entire scene.
Yes, yes.
And then what I'm trying to do is validate each of them individually. There are two parts, their hurt part, their reactive part. But then I'm also now going to invite them, when they feel like I really get both of them individually, come sit behind like here in the director's chair. Look at the way both of you are hurting. This is breaking my heart for the two of you. And so the first thing like doing is helping a couple see how heartbreaking this is for you and me. Look at how we are hurting. That transition from subjective experience to systemic experience.
Yeah.
That and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but that changes everything. That's like you change an organism's life from a two-dimensional world to a three-dimensional world. Right? And then we develop the ability, like, so maybe it takes like a month to do it the first time, and we only see the systemic view for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next time we do it, it'll only take 2 weeks, and we'll keep it for 30 minutes. And then eventually, but we are going to have to do it over and over again, because you love each other. You're going to scare each other over and over again. You're going to get disconnected, but we want to make smaller and smaller boxes of disconnection, shorter amount of time, the side walls, and less damage when we're disconnected, the top walls of the box. Yeah. And then on the back end of that box of suffering, disconnection, we actually repair and love and care for the parts of each other that got hurt.
And how do you do that?
Well, that's the second part of the work, right? Yeah, so that's good. So the first part is how we help people de-escalate and get to this shared de-escalation where we're both hurting. It's both of us. It's only happened because we love each other. Second part of the work is then now we can take turns. It's usually what people want to do at the beginning. I want to share the way I'm hurting and what you did to me. And the other person says, oh yeah, can't wait for my turn. Right. And of course, that's not going to work. So that's why we got to get them inside this. It's both of us place, right? First. And let's say we've done that. Now we could take the time to be with the little, let's say it's a heterosexual couple. There's a little girl, like, well, let's say we started with the man in the heterosexual couple. There's a little boy that can feel really bad about himself and that I'm not enough and I feel really powerless. And now, instead of having to do the withdrawing thing and defending himself, he could actually feel that pain, and from that pain, reach out and share, is there any way I could ever be enough for you?
Wow.
Now we only do it at that point because their partner, their spouse, is sitting on the edge of their chair. They're not ready to say, yeah, well, if you did the dishes or you stopped playing golf, they're actually sitting on the edge of the chair. Jesus, just give me one opportunity to show you you're enough for me. I'm here. They're freaking waiting to catch them. Right.
Yeah.
And so now I get them to share and reach out. Could I ever be enough? And the partner gives it to them, gives them the love. You're so enough of me here. I can understand how you can feel so bad like that when I'm disappointed in you. And then you're going to help that person let that love in. It's the love they've been longing for all their life. And of course, it's going to be really hard to let it in this moment. And now they are actually getting love, receiving love, and the two of them are there together. And I just sit back and let them love each other.
Yeah.
And then we do it the other direction. So now I got a little girl, heterosexual couple. Generalizations, what people are feeling, but just so you get an example. Now that we're de-escalated, now she can actually feel like, I'm so scared of being alone. I'm so scared I don't matter. I'm in so much pain and I'm worried this part of me is too much. And she can just be down there in the pain and there's no more blame associated with it. She's just being in her own experience. And then she can reach out from that dark, alone, scared place. Are you here? Will you be here for me? And he's going to jump off the seat and grab her. I'm here and I love you. And you don't have to stop being a scared person. I'm going to love this part of you forever. And then we look back at the journey and go, oh my God, look what you guys did. You weren't able to get out of fights. We de-escalated. We helped you show up, share your vulnerable feelings and love the shit out of each other. Yeah. And now you know how to do this again and again for the rest of your life. And then we do a 3-way fist bump. We do big jellyfish. And we say goodbye.
That's so beautiful. What does it, so now these are happy tears. What does it feel like to sit back and watch that happen, Fix?
It's unbelievable. I mean, look, this is one of these things. It's an interesting thing. At first, again, because of being the son of an alcoholic father and no one was there to mirror me, like I took it very personally, right? Like, damn, I do something that's fucking magic. I'm magic, right? Whereas locally, like it was a big deal and I wanted to be seen in it. And like, I'm good and I can do good things. Whereas now, look, it's still really magical, but I just happen to be like, I'm not religious at all. Right. But there was a while there when I first learned how to do it. I probably was like, I'm Jesus. And now I think I'm John the Baptist.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you know that reference, like I just happen to know this shit. It's not mine. I know how to do this thing. And I have this particular ability to guide people and show them who they really are. And it really looks like magic for people, right? It looks like how could you have taken us from we're already divorced to we're back together and loving each people are like, what the fuck? Like you're like, and I've heard people afterwards going like, he's a witch. Right. But so look, I just happen now to know how to do this thing. And it has very little to do with me, but it is beautiful to witness. I mean, it's unbelievable to be able to help people. Yeah. Like reconnect with each other when they're hurting so much. I can't think of a better thing to do with my life.
Yeah, I can feel that. I see that. And I so acknowledge the inner work that you've done, that you've gone, not that you don't have any ego, but you've gone beyond needing to be about fulfilling the emptiness in you. Yeah. And from fullness, you're the facilitator of this magic.
Yeah. Well, and thank you. And it goes back to that first question about the reparenting and how do you stop being the victim? Yeah, really something has gotten healed in me about needing to be seen, with that dad energy not being there, it's great. I feel like I'm able to play it forward and be generative with this, these abilities that I have, right? Like a knowledge. And just help other people versus I'm trying to get filled up. Which I guess feels really good. I mean, just in terms of, oh my God, that feels really good.
Oh, yes.
It's such a relief. I'm not working so hard, anyway. So.
No, I so get it. I so get it. And it sounds like not only are you paying it forward with your clients, you're paying it forward with training coaches and what you've discovered?
Yeah, we have right now a team of 25 therapists, right? We have some coaches, but we do the licensed therapy thing, and then we have some relationship coaches. But we have 25 therapists that my wife and I train and supervise how to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's amazing, right? And I'm always blown away that anybody would listen to me. Right? It's shocking, but yeah, so that's incredible, right? Teaching other people how to do this work.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
2 last questions. I could talk to you forever. Where does movement come into this?
Well, yeah, so I don't actually get clients to do a lot of actual movement. There are some movement exercises. Yeah. I do very, very simple. I threaten them I'm going to make them dance, so that I just scare them. But it's more just I used to do this thing, primarily I did this form called soul motion, but I also do contact improvisation. And in contact improvisation, right, you have to just listen really deeply to what's happening inside you and listen and notice what's happening in the other person's body, and then you co-create together from being this moment, and then what organically happens that you co-create with each other just from this deep listening and just letting what happens come from deep organically inside you, right? Some of it inside you and some of it just responding from outside you.
Yeah.
And so I just help people relate to themselves and each other in that way, right? Now, again, the most important thing is I help them de-escalate. We're not going to be doing some deep, let's listen really deeply inside yourself, right? We have to earn the right to do that kind of work. And the first way we earn the right to do that, if 2 people are inside a burning building, we're not going to take our time and let's get to really in touch. We got to get them out of the bloody burning building.
Yeah.
So there's different parts of the work, but yeah, so it's just that deep listening. And then the other thing about dance for me is what I loved about improvisational dance is every time I went onto a dance floor, I didn't like everybody else. My body felt bad. I don't want to fucking move. And what was great about improvisational dance is then that's what I would move.
Yes.
So it's really helped me be relatively good. I was going to say really good at meeting people where they are and honoring where they are right now and not trying to get them to somewhere else.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do a really good job at honoring where you are right now, and let's just be there. Yeah. We'll organically get to somewhere else.
For sure. That's brilliant. I knew you got that when I was reading all of your site. I love that. Yeah. I have always had a dream. Well, first I was I want to be the sexy spiritual Barbara Walters, and I want to interview all these people, but I want to dance first, interview them second, dance third, and see the transformation of that intimate connection and bonding between 2 beautiful souls that occurs.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, it'd be so fun to dance with them right now. So thank you for that. And so lastly, what's exquisite about your wife?
My wife is a really positive person. I don't mean that in some kind of spiritually bypassy way. She just has a real joy for life. And she wakes up every day with yay, this is so awesome. And as you probably hear, I tend to be a bit of a burden person. Even if I'm we got to go for ice cream, I'm Jesus, I have to put pants on to get ice cream. You know what I mean? Even though I love ice cream, do I have to put fucking pants on? Geez.
No, you could just go naked. It's fine.
I'd probably be arrested here, but at Aslan, I could have gone naked.
Yeah.
Okay. But so she's really, really good for me that she really is just, she just is, her temperament is naturally fun-loving, positive, and always trying to see the best in people and the opportunity of the day. And so she's always creating amazing experiences for me and the kids. So, yeah, and it's just so funny you say that because I just sent her a message yesterday, and I love you. I tell her I love you all the time, but I just had sent her this message because I really like you. You know what I mean? I really like her. You know, of course I love her, right? Like I love the freaking little girl. I want to be there for her. But like, she's just such a nice, good person.
Oh,
anyway, there you go.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I do this thing called conscious connection calls. I started a partnering app, intimacy training, conscious connection calls where we do dyads. And then the dating portion of it is still in beta, but it'll be out soon because I think it's supportive for people that want to do this deep work and have successful relationships. But on the dyads, one of the first questions is, tell me something you like about me, not what you love about me, but what you like about me.
Yeah. Nice.
It's important. So
it's important. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, just a lot. I was really thinking about, the love part, you know, you're together and you're responsible for each other. Like, of course we love each other, but it's really important to like each other. I really like her.
Yeah. Sounds like. Yeah. And what do you think she would say that's just exquisite about you?
Oh man, that's a tougher one, right? That's a much scarier question, right? It gets more to my own wounding. What would she say about me? That's a really vulnerable question. You know, that's what's funny. I probably can sound very confident and, you know, cocky, but that gets like really scary. If I was like to risk saying that what someone would say positive about me.
Yeah.
And they're like, let me see. What would she say that's positive about me? Exquisite. Oh my God, that's worse. That's even harder. I would, oh man, that's so hard. Like, that's really tough. Yeah, that touches, you know, the little boy that it's hard to really, you know, like I'm saying I can do all these things, but like, what is that like inherently lovable?
Yeah.
What would it be that you would say is exquisite? You know, I kind of think it's hard to say. It's kind of similar. Like I can just be really fun, right? Like I can make her laugh so hard. And the kids, right? I can dance silly for the kids, and you just see their eyes sparkle.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think that's probably just that. Even despite my little burdened self, that I can sparkle and make their life really fun. You know, make them feel really happy.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Don't be asking me to say nice things about myself. You'll ruin my whole facade. Don't be getting underneath. No. Thank you.
No, I really it's an intimate conversation. So
it's really good. Thank you
for letting me be real and for you taking the time to really answer that authentically.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
So viewers and listeners, empathi.com, EMPATHI.com. Please check it out. All the wonderful resources that are there. And even if you're a therapist or a coach and interested in learning more about the exquisite way that Figs coaches couples, that's truly magic. And he facilitates that energy because he's earned the right to be the facilitator of that by reparenting himself. This interview has been filled with gem after gem after gem. So please take a moment and reflect. We want to be inspiring, but even more, we want that reflection to turn into something that awakens action in your life, that your life is now officially different. The trajectory is officially changed because you took the time to honor yourself, value yourself, and nourish yourself by this conversation. So please take that action and know that we love you from the bottom of our hearts. And in conclusion, Figs, take it away. What would you like to end the interview with from your heart to theirs?
I would just like say thank you for listening. You know, it's amazing to get to talk about, you know, myself and be vulnerable and just, so I just really appreciate you, Alana, and your audience for taking the time. Thank you for, you know, letting me on your show.
It's our pleasure and honor. So ice cream, beer.
Yes. Ice cream. Yeah. Ice cream more than beer. Food is the weakness. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. So stay with me. I'll say my official goodbye after I press stop, but know that we love you all and we'll see you next time on Intimate Conversations. Thank you for joining us for another edgy, transparent episode. I invite you to dive deeper with our Intimacy Blind Spot Assessment found at alanapratt.com so you can stop unknowingly repelling the very love, intimacy, and connection you desire. Thank you for being who you are. I love the shit out of you. So until next time, I've got your back.